All right, yo ho ho, XV, this is me again. If you didn't see this before, this is worth checking out. Maybe it'll help you remember how to do this stuff because here's what we're faced with. We are going to try to determine each feature of the graph of the given function. Whew, this looks complicated. There's a lot of stuff to pull out of here. So we got this yo ho ho XV coming via Cool Santa over here. We're going to put Cool Santa to the side and drag this over here and take a look at this. It's talking about the y-intercept, the horizontal asymptote, the holes, the x-intercept, and the vertical asymptote. When you start this, you get the y-intercept and the horizontal asymptote before you factor, but once you factor it, then you'll pick it up and get the holes, x-intercept, and the vertical asymptote will come, these two things will come out of whatever's remaining in your fraction after you've canceled out for the holes and considered all the other stuff. So let's see it in action. And here again is this yo ho ho XV. Yo stands for the y-intercept. Okay, so delta math has these out of order. I don't like that, but I guess it makes you think a little bit. So the y-intercept first, and that came from the constants at the end. All right, so the -5/9, and that's before you factor it. So that's what goes there. All right, easy enough. The horizontal asymptote, and if you're at this point, you've gone sequentially through this review, then you've already seen a lot of this detail. So the first ho is for the horizontal asymptote. All right, and that's this one. And it comes from, well, because these degrees are the same, then they take the leading coefficients and it's y equals -5/3. -5/3 for that. And then finally, then we factor it and we get ammunition for dealing with the holes. And then we're going to get the x-intercept from what's left after we factor it and the vertical asymptote, vertical asymptote from what's left there. Okay, now you're like, whoa, because you didn't show me any of that, but take a look at this. All right, so I've got this in the unfactored form, and then I've got it in the factored form down here, and I did that so that you kind of see this quickly. So again, the y-intercept came from the constants at the end, so it's simply -5/9. A y-intercept, well, that's the y value, so the x value is always 0 at the y-intercept. There it is. Then, because these were the same, the degrees were the same of those leading terms, the horizontal asymptote is y equals the leading coefficient, so it's y equals -5/3. You might say, well, the negative was with the 3. It's just a negative. If they were both negative, it'd be a positive. The top's negative, then it's negative. If the bottom is only negative, then it's negative. So that's the horizontal asymptote. So there's the yo and the ho. And then we have to factor it and get the second ho, which is, so we go through a factoring here. They got a GCF out of here. They got GCF out of the bottom. They took this difference of two squares. They factored it, x plus 1 and x minus 1. They took this trinomial and they factored it with, X games mode or however you do that, so many different ways. But they got it down to this. So now we get to see, oh, these two cancel out. So the whole is the 0 of the factor that canceled. So we take the x minus 1, we set it equals 0. We solve it, and we get x equals 1. Ooh, that looked terrible. X equals 1. Well, that is the x value of the whole. The y value comes from plugging this 1 back into what you have left. All right, so we plug the 1 in here and the 1 down there, and then we simplify it. This becomes 1 plus 1, 2 times 5. That's 10. Oh, sorry. That's 10 over. And then we also plug the 1 down here. So that's 1 plus 3 or 4, and 4 times the -3, that is -12. And that reduces, all right, this turns into 2 goes into that 5 times, and 2 goes into this 6 times. The whole thing was negative. So finally, it's at -5, 6 for the y, and 1 for the x. That is the whole. All right, so yo ho ho xv. And I put the x and the v over in a little fraction form because the x-intercept comes from whatever's left, any factor that's left in the top. You set it equal to 0, and the x-intercept is -1. You might say, whoa, whoa, whoa. You set x plus 1 equal to 0 and you solve it, minus 1, you get x equals -1. This is talking about an x-intercept. So it's at -1, 0, because an x-intercept is always on the x-axis and the y is always 0. Finally, that vertical asymptote, get a little bit dizzy here, or busy, I should say, that vertical asymptote comes from the bottom factor, the 0 of that. So again, we take x plus 3, we set it equal to 0, we solve it, we get x equals -3. That is the equation of the vertical asymptote, and you got it, all right? So give it a shot, do the yo-ho-ho XV, go back to this screen or this screen, and pause it, or this screen. Ooh, that's a mess. All right, give it a shot.